Hi, I'm Ravi, and welcome to my travel channel. This is where we talk about all things travel, and in today's episode, I'm going to talk about how we took a family-friendly, budget-friendly trip to Washington, D.C. Make sure you hit that subscribe button for more travel-related content. Alright, we're off, and yes, we are driving because DC is only a 6-hour drive from where we are. Of course, it takes a little bit longer because we have to make some stops, but this is the most budget-friendly way for us to travel. Round trip for gas is only $160. Of course, we stopped a few times for some snacks, and yeah, we could have packed food, but for us, buying food was easier. On the way up, we spent about $50 on food, and it was well worth it because kiddo was happy. The first real way to save money in DC is to not stay in DC. I selected to stay at the DoubleTree in Hilton in Largo, Maryland. As a Hilton Rewards member, I was able to secure a rate of $145 a night for 3 nights. We did add breakfast to our reservation, making the total cost $580 for the entire weekend, including taxes. So the first extra expense that we had was kiddo's haircut. We completely forgot to cut his hair before we left, and husband left his clippers at home. So we did look up a local barber to get a fresh look for kiddo. We ordered some food and headed back to the hotel where we went to sleep to start the next day. Day 2, DC money saving tip number 2, take the train. Our hotel was only a 2-minute drive from the downtown Largo station, and parking is only $5 on weekdays. And the weekends are free. The train also saves you money because the parking in the city is crazy high and it fluctuates depending on the time of the day. It also helps you navigate the city a little bit better without having to deal with the congestion. And look at that smile. He was having a blast. Actually, after this clip, he took off his headphones and didn't watch his tablet for the rest of the day. DC money saving tip number 3, go to the free stuff. We started with the African American Cultural and History Museum. Most of the Smithsonian museums are free of charge. However, some of the newer museums do require a time-stamped entry, which is easy to get when you go to their website ahead of time to reserve the time you want to arrive. I recommend, if you're doing a timed entry, to either do it at the beginning of the day between 10 and 11 a.m. or near the end of the day between 3 and 4 p.m. This way, the lines are a bit shorter and the museum isn't as crowded. Most of the Smithsonian museums do have some type of restaurant or cafe within them. However, in our opinion, the cost of the food versus the quality of the food isn't great. But if you're staying there for a long time, it's really the only choice you have unless you can wait until you're done with that location and go to the food trucks outside. After a quick break, we went to the Natural History Museum. This museum does not require a timed entry, and kids love this place. Our kiddo had a blast in here, and we just let him lead the way. We did come to this museum at about 3 p.m., between 2:30 and 3 p.m., and it wasn't as crowded as we thought it would be. So if you are going to the museums, trying to go either in the early parts of the day or a couple hours before they close is probably your best bet. By the end of this museum trip, we were exhausted, and we still had to head back to the nearest train station, which was basically across the street. We just had to walk across the National Mall to the next depot. And once we got there, the guys conked out. That's it. They were done for the day. Once we arrived back to the hotel, we got some food and called it a night early because we had an early start the next day. It's the next morning and we're back at the train heading back into the city for what we will soon realize is a crazy congested day. Now, my original plan was to walk around the National Mall to all the memorials on this day. However, I then found a crazy great deal through my travel agent site on a tour. So we used Intrepid Adventures, which was this amazing little e-cruiser tour. You can see the little red buggies in the back that we were on that drove us all around the city. And let me tell you, it was the best decision that we have ever made. Now, it did cost us $38 a person, but it was well worth the money. Each tour is individualized and personalized to the people in the vehicle. Our vehicle contained one other family for a total of 7 passengers in this vehicle. Our tour guide Dee was an amazing source of information. The way she blended the stories together was very intriguing and informative. Because it was so crowded due to the Cherry Blossom Festival, we weren't able to go up to each and every memorial, but Dee made sure that we made it to the memorials that each family wanted to attend. You can start to see in some of these clips, the crowd was obnoxious. It was just so many people. The Cherry Blossom Festival, I completely underestimated how many people were going to be in attendance. I had originally planned for us to go back down to the National Mall after the e-cruiser tour and to watch the kites in the kite competition, but once we saw how many people were there, we changed our mind. I will admit though, those cherry blossoms were gorgeous. The final stop on this 2-hour tour was the White House. Hit that subscribe button for more travel related content and stick around to the end for the final cost. After we left the White House, we made our way to the final museum, the Air and Space Museum. And again, this is another fantastic place for kids and family. This is another timed entry location, so make sure you go to their website and select your time and date before arriving, because sometimes they are completely booked. While this was an amazing place for kids, one thing I do want to alert you to if you go in the near future is that most of this museum is under renovation, so we really only got to be on one half of the building. But the exhibits are amazing and interactive. The kids and adults alike were just amazed and fascinated with everything that was here. I do recommend either putting this at the beginning of your day or at the end of the day, because you're going to need time to get through this space, and you want to try to do it with not as many people so that you can fully experience the exhibits. Our reserved time for this location was 3 p.m. Once we finished up with this museum, we headed around the corner and back to the train station to go back to the hotel. It was another long, tiring day for the kiddo, and he had a hard time staying awake. But we persevered. Once we got back to the hotel, we took a quick rest and then headed out to get some food and dessert. We did end up driving a little further up the highway than we thought we were going to, but this location that we found for ice cream was absolutely amazing, and the pizza, delicious. All right, back to the hotel, and this was our final night, so we packed up, went to bed, got up, had breakfast, and checked out. We did have one more surprise up our sleeve for kiddo. We went to a fun trampoline park so he can bounce out all of his energy before we got back in the car for another 6-hour return ride. It's family lunch entertainment, and it was also in Maryland, and I think they have a few locations around the country, and the kid had a blast. There was a birthday party that was going on, and he ended up making a few friends and burning a lot of energy. I did find this ahead of time before we left for our trip, and I pre-purchased our tickets and filled out the waiver to make sure that we were going to have a spot at the time that we needed to be there before heading to the car. This facility not only has the trampolines and the basketball, it also has an arcade and a laser tag station. Yes, the husband got some energy out as well, and I had a very nice, quiet ride home while the two fellas slept. So now the moment you've been waiting for. How much did this trip cost us? For food, gas, hotel, souvenirs, tours, trampoline park, and his haircut. We spent $1,279 for 4 days and 3 nights in DC for a family of 3. Be sure to hit that subscribe button for more travel content, and if you want me to plan your next vacation, make sure you click the link in the description. Alright guys, until next time, toodles!